with the AL Central Rundown. With me today is...
I'm Lee.
And I'm Dan.
And Sam is jumping on in a minute. It feels good to be back in control, kind of. My OCD and my ability to take over, I feel right at home. So today it's the last week of August. Some teams have taken a turn. We won't mention who. There's really only 1.5 good teams, depending on how you feel about the Royals. Let's just go through the standings pretty quickly here, shall we? Okay. So we have the Tigers plus 8.5 games. The Royals 4 games over 500. Cleveland 2 games over 500. I take back my comment. I thought they were still under 500. The Twins and the White Sox fighting for who wants to suck the most in the last month. It's going to be close. Playoff picture: the Twins and the White Sox are virtually out of it, just not technically out of it. The Guardians are holding on to a 5% chance of making the playoffs. Cleveland has a 1 in 4 chance, and then Detroit has gotten back to the 99.8% club. It's been a good month for the Tigers, and yeah. So with that, Lee, you've taken back the division. We talked a little bit about it last week. How you feeling?
Yeah, it's been a weird week because we played the Sacramento A's in Sacramento, which, okay, for those of you who are not Tigers fans, Tigers do not play the A's well at all. It's not just a West Coast games are weird thing. It's until this year we had not won a home series against the Oakland A's since 2016 thing. For some reason we're just horrible against them, and there's always games are always really weird. So we got swept by the A's in one of the worst series I've seen from the Tigers this season. It included multiple throwing errors by Zach McKinstry. Colt Keith could not catch a pop-up to save his life. There was no clutch hitting at all, except for Riley Green hit a home run 471 feet. Starting pitching was a mess. Tarek Skubal had a start with 6 runs, 1 earned run, and 12 strikeouts. It
Oh,
was, yeah, it was because he
sloppy.
had, yeah, because there were 2 fielding errors during his start, and it was a Langoliers hit a grand slam off him, which is the first regular season grand slam to be hit off of Tarek Skubal. But all 4 runs were unearned because at the start of the inning, McKinstry bobbled a grounder to short. So, and then Skubal struck out the next 2, but the grand slam, but it wasn't earned. So,
Right.
I mean, his Cy Young case is still good because 1 earned run, 12 strikeouts, and like one walk, but it was a really weird start.
That
And
is probably something I should probably start taking track of, is anyone who's going to be a finalist for an award. Like, we should probably start tracking like Scooble versus Hunter Brown versus, everyone else,
Crochet,
and
it's
see.
really Scribble and Crochet at this point.
Is it? Okay. I
Not to
didn't even know
do
Crochet
not
came back.
not to do episode planning on the show, but I'd be curious if maybe we did like our AL Central MVP Cy Young Award winner.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah,
your
that would be
at
fun.
some
I
point
think we
manager
do.
of the year.
I think we do that
Yeah,
like after the postseason. I think that'd be a really fun
yeah.
thing
Yeah,
to do.
gotta
But
push
yeah.
it a little bit.
I mean, Cy Young and MVP, I think are going to be pretty easy, but it's hard to beat Scooble and
I
Witt.
think MVP is gonna be. It would be between Hosey and Bobby Witt, right? Pretty much for the
Posey.
Yes,
division. Jose
Ramirez.
Ramirez. That's what
Oh, I heard
I've been listening
Posey,
to
not
a lot of.
Jose. Okay,
I've been
never mind.
listening to a lot of the Cleveland radio broadcast games, and Hamilton always calls him Hosey. So
Posey.
yeah,
Why?
Francona used to do that too.
Oh, all right. Well,
yeah. I've been
whatever works
listening
for him.
to. Yeah, when I'm at work and if there's not a Tigers game on, I'll turn on some other game via the MLB app. I've been doing a lot of the Cleveland games because I forget his Tom Hamilton or is it Dan Hamilton? I forget.
Tom.
Tom
Tom
Hamilton.
Hamilton. Yeah, Tom
By the
Hamilton is
way,
a very good radio
Hall
broadcaster.
of Famer Tom Hamilton.
Yeah.
Now that's something that kind of skated past us here in this summer. Is he was inducted this just a month ago.
Oh, nice! I didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it would be between those two pretty much for AL Central and MVP.
Um, yeah,
Anyway,
I mean, we'll talk about it in a bit probably because we have a lot of trades to talk about.
oh, I forgot. Sorry, I forgot one thing about the A series. We had a day off on Thursday before flying to Kansas City. They spent 6 hours sitting on the tarmac in
That
Sacramento
would be
because the
horrible.
plane had
I get annoyed after
had
30 minutes.
mechanical issues.
I couldn't imagine 6 hours, especially when it's a chartered flight.
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
so it was a shitty series, and then they spend the off day sitting on the plane in the tarmac and don't even get to Kansas City until like 10 p.m. So it
I
was
wish
really weird.
Mr. Nice barbecue dinner in Kansas City because he couldn't get off the tarmac in Sacramento. Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen
I do.
Sam scooting away with a wrench from a hangar somewhere? Which, by the way, so
I do just
Sam
want to say, go ahead.
Sam yesterday went to the Tigers Royals game, and we'll talk about that in a bit. He sent he sent a video that I think we should play. Hopefully, by the time we get to that, he's on and he gives us permission to play it because he took moments out of his day to just trash talk Lee, and it was great. But anyway, there's our teaser for
Speaking
later in the show.
Before we move off, speaking of trash talk, I just really want to say I appreciate that Lee had to qualify Scooble's Grand Slam as the only regular season Grand Slam he
Yeah.
has given up. Just I know I'm gonna milk that Lane Thomas Grand Slam as long as I can. Uh,
No, yeah,
it's a
you
thing of
should.
beauty. I'm gonna have to the way this year's going.
I don't see why you wouldn't. Anyway, the only reason I
Grand
brought
Slam
up,
should be banned in the
we'll talk about it
postseason.
in the
It's single.
trades, is has
They're an automatic
Detroit
out.
started moving starters to the bullpen yet?
Not yet, because we need the innings out of them.
Sure.
Paddock might be on his way there soon, just based on how his starts have gone.
That's the answer I want.
Because he's been pulled pretty early. Like his past two starts, he was pulled after like 60 pitches.
Right.
So, like, that's kind of weird. I mean, it's because AJ doesn't want him to go through the order a third time around, pretty much. So that's a pretty wide signal that he's not going to be starting any postseason games.
Has there? Well, that I don't think that was going to happen anyway. But has there been reports that he's going there?
No, it's
Okay.
yeah. It might change after September. Roster opens up, and we call someone up. But no, we right now we just need guys to pitch 5 innings.
Yeah,
I mean, Paddock hasn't been giving us that lately, but you know.
That's fair. Dan, how are you feeling about Cleveland?
Up and down. It's funny. I know we're going to talk about the trade deadline here. I'm going to kind of spoil this a little bit, but depending on what unit of time you use to measure how the Guardians have done lately, you can get some very awesome results or some pretty poor ones. They're 14 and 12 since the deadline, but in their last 18, which is fewer games, they're 7 and 11, but they've won their last 4. So I know even like on the lead up, we're anticipating Cleveland being below 500. They're not because they won their last 4.
I was about to say.
And they
Yeah.
just won they won the series against Seattle, right? Because they're playing them now.
Yes, and they just won a series against Tampa. This has been a very good homestand for them. And, they win again against Seattle today. They close that gap a little bit more. Hopefully they get a little bit of help from the Tigers. And you're right back to kind of contemplating playing a first round series against probably Houston at that point in time. But yeah, so at the moment it's up and down. I can kind of get into the details now or when we get to the news portion. But
Yeah,
you
may as
want to
well
do that
do it
now?
now.
I could do that now. So, like I was saying, they've won their last 4, and in the last 4, what I've really noticed since the deadline or more recently is the Guardians are basically running on if the bullpen is locked down, if they are the bullpen of last year, they win ball games, which sounds very simple and obvious, but is the truth right now. In these last 4 wins, uh, until yesterday, they hadn't allowed a run, the bullpen. They gave up a 2-run home run to Julio Rodriguez yesterday in a 4-1 game, made it a 4-3 game. Hunter Gaddis gave up that home run. That's the extent of the scoring that's come against the bullpen in the last 4 games. Also on the pitching side, Parker Messick. He has 2 starts now under his belt as a major leaguer. He pitched 7 scoreless earlier this week against Tampa in his second start. He has looked great so far. Again, it's early, but 1 run in 13 and 2/3, 1 walk, 12 Ks. We'll see how the league adjusts, obviously, but I mean, couldn't have written much of a better start.
Hmm.
And then from that bullpen, multiple inning outings from Cade Smith, Nick Enright, and Jacob Junis. Enright and Junis, not kind of the bellwether guys you expect to really put something together like that. So you're getting contributions from everybody, but the bullpen's been excellent in these last four. And then the offense has scored just slightly more than they had been before. And that's how you win 4 in a row against two. Tampa's not a playoff team, but they're competitive. And then Seattle, obviously, somebody you're fighting with the wild card for.
Hmm.
Let me get
Which
to the bad part. What's that?
I was just saying, right now Cleveland is 3 games back in the wild card, and I think there's 3 other teams outside the Royals that are ahead of them.
Do you
I
guys
think it's
for
Texas and KC is who's ahead
Is
of
they
them.
the only two? Okay.
I think so.
if we're talking tiebreaker over Seattle, what does that look like? I mean, see, I know you guys played them earlier this season.
I don't remember how we did against them earlier in the season. Sweeping them would sure help. I'll check on. But they have the chance to sweep them today, so I'll check on that here momentarily. Um, so that's won their last four. How about 7-11 in their last 18? Um, since August 10th is what that amounts to. This offense is abysmal.
Yeah.
Like I said, the bullpen has to be locked down because the offense isn't going to do it for them. They're since August 10th, last in all slash line stats, average, batting average, on base, slugging, last in xWOBA. So it's not bad luck. They quality of contact is worst in the
Just
league.
that bad.
Here's the real one. Position players are worth negative 1.2 WAR
Ouch.
since August 10th, 18 games. Third worst K rate, third worst walk rate, 55 runs in 18 games. That's about 3 per game. Again, 55 runs. Houston's 29th. They have 66 runs. They have 11 more runs over that time frame. Um, I was curious of this. The Mets have the most. They're averaging 7.5 runs per game since August 10th. So
Jesus.
good for them.
They have to.
Yeah.
Their
Yeah.
pitching has been a mess. I mean, the starting pitching
Yes.
started balancing out, but yeah, they gotta score 7.5 runs a game.
So
What is it with Cle? Like, and I know we've talked about this before, but like, has this been especially abysmal compared to other years, or this just seems to be par for the course for Cleveland?
this is reminiscent of 2023 to me,
Yeah.
which is just 2 years ago.
Hmm.
Like I've talked about this a little bit before. 2024 was a year where the ball started going over the fence a little bit more. I think the big things that are different year to year, David Fry was healthy and playing well, as opposed to this year where he hasn't. Um, it would have been really nice to have Lane Thomas healthy and hitting maybe 20 home runs, which is something he was entirely capable of if he was healthy. And then I think the one thing I have to admit is not having Josh Naylor hitting fourth in your lineup does make a difference,
Right.
particularly when you relate it to Carlos Santana, who was waived this week. Um, so I think those three components are probably there's other elements to this, but those three things are probably the biggest differentiation. Last year's team hit the ball over the fence at they were like 10th in home runs, something like that. They
Right.
were respectable. This year, it's just not what it was last year at all. And it's very reminiscent of what the 23 team did. So it is kind of there is a history there, but they've also proven that they can be better than this.
Hmm.
They need to find another guy for the middle of the order, it seems. I do want to acknowledge in this, and I know Lee wants to get something out, but I just want to say because it's relevant. In this time since August 10th, it's been everybody. It's been Jose Ramirez too.
Yeah.
His OBP is 299 since August 10th.
He's been
So
really
it's
banged
been
up.
everybody all at once. He's had 3 different injuries this year that he's played through all of them. So I don't know how much that's affecting him. Even Ramirez goes through periods where he slumps a little bit. So I think it's just that, but he has in this time frame struggled.
In related
Um,
to the offensive problems, I saw on the Reddit post about how the Cubs picked up Carlos Santana, and in it was a bunch of jokes of, "Oh, Cubs got their guy because why do they need to get Carlos Santana? It's like a weird move for them."
Right.
And there was a comment on there that said, "Oh, he's the sixth worst uh, in terms of OPS among qualified players. So like 400 plate appearances or whatever. And then a response from a Cleveland fan said, "Well, he was our fifth best hitter, but he's the sixth worst overall." Like, what the hell? So
That's honestly probably about right. I'd have to like power rank the Guardians hitters in my mind, but that's probably about
Right.
accurate, depending
I
on
think
who
it
you
was like
count.
by OPS or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean
Um,
it's like that's qualified hitters, so it's excluding a lot of worse hitters who don't have as many plate appearances. But yeah, that's rough.
I'm
Did
kind of switching
Cleveland
around. Go ahead.
did Cleveland I know the real answer is salary relief, but did Cleveland say why they released Santana? Like he wasn't
Didn't get
producing
that.
all that well, but that seems weird for them just to
So
not stick him on the
I think
bench.
there's I think there's a differentiation here to be made. So they waived him initially, and they weren't sure what they were. They designated him for assignment or whatever, and they weren't sure necessarily what they were going to do with him. Um, I think some of this is logical and reasonable to explain and understand. He wasn't going to play much. One, he hadn't been performing. Two, he's not in next year's plans, and the team is kind of in this middle ground where they're starting to pivot towards 2026. They wanted those at bats to go to CJ Kafis, David Fry,
Right.
Kyle Manzardo. Um, and so that component of it, I get. The weird part of this, and I think it's still explainable, is they've decided to keep Daniel Schneeman went on the paternity list this week, and Will Wilson was promoted from AAA. Will Wilson's a utility infielder, hasn't done much offensively in his own right. Um, but when Schneeman was brought back later this week, Wilson stayed and Santana was waived. And I think the answer there is you didn't need a fourth guy who can only play first base on the roster.
Mm,
And so I think that's why the initial decision to get Santana off the roster happened in the first place. As far as his release, as far as him departing the organization, that was Santana. He actually, it's been reported that he went to the org and said, "Hey, would you guys mind releasing me so that I could go find a team for the
really?
the playoff rosters, you have to be on a roster by August 31st in order to
Right.
be able to be used for the playoffs. So timing mattered. And so he went to the org and said, "Hey, I'd love to see if I would catch on with somebody. Could you let me go and see what
Mhm.
happens?" And he's been with the team on three separate occasions. Fantastic organization, relationship with the organization. Probably going to be a Guardians Hall of Famer someday. So they were more than happy to oblige him on that. And
Sure.
so,
Interesting.
you know,
I,
the storyline with Santana coming into this year was, would Father Time finally catch up? Because he had a very good year with Minnesota last year. And
Yep.
the answer was yes. 225, 316, 333, 10 doubles, 11 home runs. He's 39.
Yep.
They were hoping to get one more year out of him. And his defense was still pretty solid, but nothing to be done about him at the plate, unfortunately. Um,
I
just
so
to
I
wrap this up. Oh, go
sorry.
ahead, Slee.
I get the idea of why releasing him because it makes sense at this point. You know, if you want give your younger guys some reps. You know, he's a 39-year-old. He's kind of taking up space. I mean, I get that. I guess the point I don't get, why not trade him a month ago? Right? Like,
I
were
don't
they
know.
hoping that maybe they would catch on and he'd be helpful in a playoff run? Like, I was
I'm
there
gonna
just no
guess. I'm
interest?
gonna
Like,
guess they probably tried to, but he was signed for what 12 million, so he'd have what 4 left at the time. Teams just might not. I mean, now could the Guardians have eaten that? Yeah, but I don't know if anyone would be willing to pick him up.
I guess that's the only
I,
explanation that makes sense. It just seems weird to not trade him when we talked about like he would be you know, a decent trade piece or like
Mhm.
potentially, but he could be, but like and then just release him a month later.
Yeah,
It just feels really weird.
yeah, I kind of wonder about that too. I don't know if maybe they tried and like Eric was saying, there wasn't anything there to receive in return. I have to believe there would be, but maybe not. Kafis hadn't been promoted yet, and so maybe they wanted to see how he did in the majors. That kind of makes you question, well, why'd they wait so long to promote him in the first place, which I think is a completely understandable question to ask in and of itself. But I just it is odd. I don't know if how that, I don't know if he wanted to stay, and I don't know if that there was a relationship there with him that they were trying to do the right thing by him and keep
Yeah,
him.
there could be
I don't
background
know.
stuff.
Just yeah. So here's where we ended up. And so would the team maybe have been better off getting a single A guy that might be something someday? Possibly, but who knows if that was an option or not. Um, just to wrap up my little diatribe about how things have been going here, there is one guy that has been offensively capable over this time period that started on August 10th, and that guy is, I would drum roll if I could, Nolan Jones.
Oh, look at
Nolan
that!
Jones,
Back from the dead.
and here, but here's why. Here's why. As of when I looked up the stats, he had a WRC plus over 100. He was the only guy over this time frame. That was on Friday. The reason why is on third in the last 3 games, he has 3 extra base hits. He's got 2 home runs and a double. Last time we got on, he hadn't had a double or he hadn't had an extra base hit in nearly a month. From July 30th to August 28th, no extra base hits. In 2 games, 3 of them, 3 of those things. And only that is what made him an above league average hitter. If you take out those 2 games, his WRC plus is 34.
It's Christian Vasquez territory.
So I appreciate Nolan Jones's contribution to the offense. It's been minimal. I will say when he hits a home run, he
It stays hit.
it's a second deck or halfway up the stands. Like he mutilates the ball, but it happens as often as a full moon.
Which is
Anyway,
because he had that one good year in Colorado, and he's probably just going to be a one-season wonder.
I distinctly remember we were in Washington and he had a ball in the second deck. The ball he hit Friday night was halfway up the stands. He destroyed both of them. He just doesn't do it enough.
Right.
He's completely capable of doing it. He just doesn't do it enough. Anyway, he also scored the winning run on Friday night in the Guardians walk-off win. He's been good for a couple games. Shout out to him for that. But Friday night's win was pretty cool too. They were kind of back to their old contact hitting ways. Had a little dribbler that extended an inning. That kind of stuff. But
Oh,
yeah,
I find this
so
funny. On my timeline of Twitter's fans, Tigers fans, retweeted the video of the walk-off and said, without even looking, this is a blue pit.
and it was. And it was. And there was some hijinks there, Cal Raleigh. The throw in from left, I I don't know. He must have thrown a cutter or something. It must have been spinning because the ball hit the ground and kicked dead left. And so Raleigh didn't catch it. Anyway, this has been a long, long conversation that we've led off our podcast with, where I'm about to conclude it with. It is August 31st, and I still don't know what to make of this team. I'm pretty sure they're not a championship contender. I'm pretty sure they're not the worst team in the league, but they're something else in between. And they could still make the playoffs.
Right.
They could also still end below 500. So how's that for some analysis?
They got a 5.8% chance to make the playoffs. I mean, that's pretty close to what the Tigers were at this point, unless they was in last year.
Now just watch. This will be the team to beat that wins the World Series. Like this will be the team that goes on the run and does it. Just
I would be shocked. I legitimately would.
Oh, everyone would be.
This is not a World Series team. I'm confident it's not that. It's everything. It could be anything else but it's not that. I know we won our last 4. We could win our next 4. But at some point, we're probably going to lose 10 out of 12 again. So, right. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't have much for the Twins. We'll go through the trade deadline and I can talk about how they've been doing this month. It hasn't been pretty. The only positive news, Pablo Lopez is coming back, and then also they're going to be in the Field of Dream games next year against the Phillies. So that's fine. That'll be fun. Nice little setting, but that's it in Minnesota. It's been bad.
It's cool that they're bringing back the Field of Dreams game though.
Yeah, I do. I love that. Like, I do think Minnesota should be in that game a lot. I like it. Chicago, obviously, for the movie, but yeah, I like the setting. It's cool.
Yeah, I think the problem they had to stop it because the first one set so high expectations that nothing would ever. Like, if you ask people how many Field of Dreams games were there, they'll probably say 1 because they had a second one the year after, but no one remembers it.
Yep.
Like, try to name which teams were in the second Field of Dreams game.
The Cubs, I think. I don't know. Who cares? Tim Anderson probably watches that on repeat in his house.
Tim Anderson should get a job like just promoting that or something. Like that would work for him, I feel
Sure.
like. Who are they're playing the White Sox? Is that accurate? The Twins in the Field of
No,
Dreams
I
game?
Phillies.
think it's Phillies, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, Joan Duran coming in
Interesting.
for the Phillies. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I had
Out of
to.
the cornfield.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had to look this up. Yeah, the second game was the Cubs and the Reds.
Yeah.
So, but like no one knows that because the first game was so much cooler. The second game just
All right. So like I said, Sam's going to be jumping on here in a bit. I thought it's been a month, and
Well, before we get there, I did have one more item. I
oh yeah,
apologize.
go
Do
ahead.
we want to talk about Ortiz and Clase, or do we not
It's
want to?
depends on how in depth, because I think the group knows my opinion on it, and it's probably the minority. But yeah, we can touch on it.
I feel
For
like
the
we've
sake of
talked about
news,
it a lot.
I should at least acknowledge
Sure.
uh, the the suspension of Guardians pitchers Luis Ortiz and Emmanuel Clase was extended to the end of the season this week by the commissioner's office. I just want to say that at this point, Clase obviously, I think he was fifth in WAR on the team when this all went down initially. So by the metrics, he's their fifth best player. If this turns out to be nothing, if the league office comes out and goes, well, actually, we did a very thorough investigation and we can't link anything to either of these players. Sorry, you lost your fifth best player for 3 months.
Right.
I'm not going to be happy
No,
at face value.
that would be awful.
I,
I
I
have
will be
to
quite displeased.
I have to imagine that they have. I feel like the union would fight it if there wasn't
Yeah.
enough to be like to justify extending it at this point. I feel like they
It,
or we'd hear something about it, right?
I really, really, and especially, and I know Eric, you got something, but if the answer is we don't have enough evidence, I'm catastrophizing right now, by the way. This is probably not what's going to happen. But if the answer is we don't have enough evidence, therefore we have continued suspicion, but we lost both players for half the season,
Right.
that is the worst answer for everyone involved.
Right.
And
Because
I
then
really
nobody
hope that's not
wins.
where we're headed.
Everyone looks
Yeah.
incompetent, and then the two players
Yes.
still look suspicious.
Yes.
Yeah. I will save my rant for when this investigation comes to a conclusion, because I went off on our Discord group yesterday because I do not have a high opinion of Tony Clark and how he manages players negotiations. I also anyway, I'm gonna save that rant for
Two,
now. I'm gonna try to hold off.
two more things I'll say. Just there is a precedent for this kind of thing now because it just happened in the NBA.
Right.
Malik Beasley had an investigation happen. Turns out he was discovered there was no wrongdoing. That probably cost him, I don't know, 12 to 15 million
A lot
dollars
of a lot
a
of
year.
money. Pistons haven't
He
re-signed him yet, but they were like going to
nobody,
give him
yeah.
a huge contract. But now a bunch of stuff came out about how he's like broke and stuff. So like he might not get as much money. I mean, it's good from like a Piston side of you don't have to pay him as much, but like he was gonna get a bag, and now
It's a foregone conclusion he's going to make the league minimum at this point. No team has the cap space to give Malik Beasley more than that at this
Right.
point. And then the other thing I want to mention is this is illegal. This is an official legal matter. This isn't just MLB. Like the Ohio Gambling Commission is now involved. There is a legal investigation occurring as well. I also just want to mention. I think it's interesting. Governor DeWine here in Ohio is advocating for the elimination of these very specific prop bets.
Mm-hmm.
We want to eliminate the ability to bet on the first pitch of the third inning in the first place. So maybe that's a little too late, but I do appreciate that the state government is at least trying to move forward with that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like we'll have to just see what the investigation comes up with. But like Dan was just saying, if they unless Like if there's just suspicion and nothing else, you have done both those the players union and baseball has done both those players a severe injustice if they can't prove. Now, they know if they're guilty or not, so maybe I'm like sticking up for the villain here, but I just it seems weird to me to do the we're still going to pay you because there's still a hint that you might be guilty. That you might not be guilty, but we're just not going to let you play. To me, if you don't have enough, let them play. If I understand that's going to come with a cloud of suspicion and all of that, but I think the paid suspension to me is doing more damage to them than anything. Now, more than likely, these are their last paychecks, MLB paychecks. Like, I can't see them extending this to the offseason and not having something, but I kind of just disagree with the whole paid suspension thing in the beginning, or to begin with. And then I'll just kind of, I'll leave with, unless these players are like, have legitimate threats from gamblers, like death threats from family and that type of, and you're protecting them, I get it. Then I will come off of my pedestal and I will shut up and do that. But short of that, I don't understand why this hasn't been concluded. But we'll find out.
I
It's
mean,
just yeah, that's where my like catastrophizing comes from. It's just odd to me that okay, we're gonna do an investigation. We're gonna be done by this date. Actually, we need more time. That new date comes back. Actually, we need more time. That to me is this is, and maybe maybe the league just decided it was more digestible for everybody to not suspend them through the rest of the season right up front,
Sure.
knowing maybe they thought it would just be better to extend it a couple times. It's a little bit less shocking, I think, than if on July whatever the league came out and said those guys aren't going to play the rest of the year while we do our investigation. I could
I
see that
suppose.
being the case,
I think
I
I
but
mean,
said this. Go
the
ahead,
way
Lee.
I was kind of thinking of it is okay, maybe okay, this is me completely making stuff up because we don't have enough information.
we all
but
are at this point.
yeah,
So
but okay, so like it's just like actual legal stuff, right? If they don't have enough stuff to be able to do beyond a reasonable doubt, but let's say they have enough evidence to be like, okay, yeah, they did it, but they can't say legally that they haven't been convicted of anything. They're not,
Right.
so they have to pay them because from the union says you have to pay them. They have not been convicted of anything, but they also can't let them play because they know they did it.
Right.
But
I mean, that's the
legally,
difference between the standard of, I mean, the level you're trying to clear for baseball is you're making your own rules. Like you can set the boundaries of how players can and can't play. The union needs to negotiate that. Clearly, they have a prearranged deal that says that they would, the players don't play, paid leave, whatever. That was clearly part of the negotiation. But yes, the level of proof, MLB can just say, "Oh, you once downloaded DraftKings, you're out of the sport."
yeah, they
If
don't
it's union
need,
negotiated.
yeah, they don't need to be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. I just imagine because this is like, has legal implications beyond MLB. I just assume it's just taking a really long time because that kind of stuff takes a really long time.
Right.
But I mean, I don't necessarily agree with you on the for the pay suspension bit because I think that's just part of union negotiating. Okay, but you have to pay them until they are convicted of something.
Right. I think they should be playing because they are actively not only like if, and I'm going under the assumption that I'm going under the chance that they are innocent. Like if these guys are innocent, you are damaging their reputation and their team's on-field performance over suspicion. If you have more than suspicion, that's fine. But I do disagree with the paid leave aspect of it, assuming they're innocent. But they're probably not. Like I fully acknowledge that they're probably done playing baseball.
the most likely outcome here is still that they're it's not going to be good news for
They're never going to
Los
pitch in a Major
Angeles.
League Baseball game again.
Right.
Probably.
Yeah, still the most likely thing to happen.
I also kind of like Dan. We kind of talked on it a little bit, and Lee, you brought it up too. Part of me thinks it is not in baseball's best interest to suspend two players a month out from your highest revenue grossing, playoff format. So part of me thinks they're just extending it to get to November and then suspend them after the World Series. So then you have a full year before the next championship cycle before you do that. But I don't know. That's just me thinking poorly of the commissioner and how he handles some of these things.
I think they just can't let them play because okay, let's say you said all right, they have to play. Let's say, but they're still under suspicion. Okay, they were betting, they were rigging the game essentially. It's not really rigging it. It's like one ball or whatever, but like it's still impacting the game on a certain level. But that's also going to negatively affect the Guardians at that point too, because if I don't know, I just feel like
the PR of these guys were doing this and you guys were investigating and you let them play would not be pretty.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. I just don't see how they could let them play if they have not been cleared. Like I know that has.
Well, then you're just letting any accusation, like anyone, you're opening you're opening. I could say the other way around too. Like to me, until you have something concrete, they should play. When you have something concrete, pull them from the field.
I think they have something concrete. They just haven't released it because of legal stuff.
There's a reason they extended it. Like I fully acknowledge that. But if if it goes to not the worst case scenario, but worst case for this season got tanked because the all-star closer and a promising starting pitcher got tanked because somebody had a suspicion because MLB decided to get in bed with DraftKings, or not DraftKings, but just gambling in Central and got.
Which, by the way,
it's not
like the ownership here in Cleveland's happy about that either. Like they're paying Clase for him,
right?
So to say that the league is kind of protecting the owners in this case isn't necessarily true either. So the real answer here is we need to take all this gambling stuff and fire it into the sun, but that's never going to happen at this point. So
yep, too much money is being made there. But yeah, I wouldn't be sad to see the gambling go.
Me neither.
But all right. Anyway, we'll continue this when it either gets extended until 2028 or it's concluded in November. We'll see. Let's talk trade deadline. So it's been a month. I will admit these are all small samples. However, on a lot of these players, these are rental players. That's all you have is a small sample. So if you traded for them July 31st and for 2 months and you've already used up half of their time, you're going to use them plus the playoffs. So some of these you can judge accurately. Some of these have comically small sample sizes. I will admit that. Take them with a grain of salt. We can go from there. But I thought it would just be kind of fun to go through that. We're going to wait for the Royals to go last. So if you're waiting for them, you can probably skip ahead. And if you want, Sam will be on in here in a bit. But I figured we'd start just in division order. So we'll start off with Detroit. Lee, I'll pull up the slides. I'm starting with old man Charlie Morton was traded from the Baltimore Orioles. Lee, how's Charlie doing?
He's had. Let me pull up his game logs because I need to make sure I'm getting accurate information here. It's been a really mixed bag. Okay, so his first start was against the Phillies, and he did awesome. Then his next start against the Angels was gross, and then his next start against the Twins was awesome. You get the point. It's been very back and forth. Like he's either given up 6 runs or he's given up 1 run. So he has not yet earned the right to not be called Old Man Charlie Morton by me. So
I mean, that's all he's going to ever be. He's 42 years old.
yeah, he's 41. So, be a little nicer to Old Man Charlie Morton.
Not for nothing. This man should be in the... I mean, I know you just said that they need to cover innings, but he has 36 strikeouts in 27 innings. Get this man in the bullpen, for God's sake. Maybe he's just not geared. He's been a starter for an eternity. Maybe he can't do that, but the FIP looks good.
He's been able to go long. He only has 1 start less than 5 innings, which is against the Angels, but it's 6 innings, 4.1, 6 innings, 6 innings, 5 innings. And... it's not that bad. I mean, against Houston, he was good. He was only gave up 2 runs. Against the A's, it was awful, but the whole series is cursed, so it doesn't count. I mean, he was bad against the Angels, but he looked good. He just gave up home runs at bad moments. But I mean, he's been good. He's a good starter because he could go 6 innings no matter what, and he gets a bunch of strikeouts
Well,
a
it
lot.
helps for Detroit. He's a rental 41-year-old, so like they're just ride those fires until they fall off. There's no
Yeah,
reason. Charlie Morton is just trying to get through the season himself.
yeah,
I,
I touched on this a bit, but I think it's worth mentioning again. He's worked with AJ Hinch before. Like he was in Houston. He pitched World
Right.
Series games for Hinch. That is, I legitimately think he could start World Series games for us if we get to that point because he's pitched in those positions before. We don't have a lot of guys who have done that, and he's worked with AJ Hinch. So I think that, I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I think I'm trying to make my point of he has been good, deep kind of.
Right.
He can continue to be a starter for us deep into the playoffs because
Well,
he
I
can go
mean,
yeah,
six innings, he can go 5 innings.
my perception here is Charlie Morton is somebody who's going to pitch game 3 of a playoff series. He's going to pitch 2 times through the order. And then from there, Hinch is going to watch him real close and see how much further he can get.
mm,
And I think that if that happens, Lee, this is a successful trade for the Tigers.
yeah.
Um, and I do think the relationship with Hinch matters. Morton's been very particular about where he's played the last couple of years. He's wanted to stay in the Southeast largely, Baltimore, Tampa, Atlanta. I think, though, he was willing to go play for Detroit probably because of Hinch being the manager there.
Do you think? I wonder, like, what his playoff function is. I view him either more as an opener. I think you're right, like 2 times through the order, but he's either an opener or he's that 2 inning, like the 2 inning gonna pitch, innings 3 through 6 if the starter has like a decent start.
I
It's not-
could see either. I could see him either being a starter and going 4 innings, 5 innings, whatever, or being a long middle relief guy. I could see either. I mean, I lean more towards him being a starter just because that's what his role has always been in the playoffs.
Mhm.
He has a lot of that, and also because we need starters.
Right.
I
I
think
mean,
that's
unless
his
we do,
experience. His playoff experience speaks to him being that starting pitcher as well.
yeah, that's kind of where I lean. I mean, I don't know what we'll end up doing in terms of pitching in the playoffs because we could do literally anything from having regular starters to full pitching chaos to, oh look, it's all right, Holton is going to open up and here comes Jack Flaherty from the bullpen to throw 6 innings. Like we could do anything. I'm not going to put past AJ to do some weird shit. So I cannot give you an answer on what Charlie Morton's role in the playoffs is going to be because it can be anything.
Right. And like they gave up a 23-year-old reliever prospect who's doing fine. 17 strikeouts to 3 walks is encouraging. He's about age appropriate for Double A, maybe a little on the high side, but that seems nothing. It's fine. A perfectly acceptable package for a rental reliever or rental starting pitcher.
Yeah, I'm not really concerned about losing him.
Yeah.
It's
All right. Next. Maybe. Okay. Rafael who I remember the first like 2 appearances Rafael Montero, Lee was ready to throw him out of Detroit with his head on
yeah.
a pike. I was expecting much worse. That FIP is not pretty though, or that walk.
He's looked. It's Let me pull up his game log. I'm going to be pulling up the game logs for a lot of these because I think it's
For those
that's
not
important.
watching this, he has 10 inning pitch, a 3.48 ERA, a 4.86 FIP, 8 strikeouts, and 7 walks. That's not
Okay.
encouraging.
Okay, no, but he has so he has 7 appearances with us. 5 of them are scoreless. Okay,
Mhm.
I will take 5 out of 7 scoreless appearances any day of the week. And like his biggest moment was against the Twins. And we talked about this, where he just threw 3 pitch. Well, he pitched another inning, but he threw 3 pitches right down the middle to Byron Buxton and gets it out somehow. But I think he hasn't pitched a lot for us. It's been mostly like when we're either ahead by a lot or down by a bit or something like that. He's not going in high leverage positions except for that one game. I think they're doing their what's the word? I can't think of the word with it. I think they're doing a little bit of stuff with his stuff in terms of like
Sure.
doing a little bit of tinkering. I think that's what they are doing. That's why he hasn't made a ton of appearances. I mean, he doesn't look fantastic. It looks all right. Oh, Sam is joining. Hello. Oh, no, he's gone. All right. Oh,
Oh, there he is. Just a floating S. Hi, Sam. Nope, still a floating S. He'll come back in your bed.
yeah.
But
I'm not gonna get too excited about Rafael Montero, but I mean, he's looked all right. He's had 4 straight scoreless outings. I mean, I'm not going to put him in a high leverage position, but he can be decent in like a 7th or 8th inning and not give up 5 runs. You know,
right.
I don't know if he stays on the team going into the postseason, but yeah, he's been fine.
And like to give up, it was a bit, I mean, fringe prospect 2 years ago. That was 11th round pick. High average guy from what I was looking at. He's not ranked. I mean, it was again,
it was
maybe a little on the high side for Montero, but like it's not outrageous by any means.
The only reason I knew who he was is because I look at the Erie, what's it called, lineups a lot, and his name is Jim Jarvis. So
it is a fun name.
Yeah.
All right,
Kyle Finnegan. This is the big one. I believe I said this is a good trade at the beginning. It was like a fine trade because he had like a 3.4 ERA, which had been kind of inflated. But maybe he could be something. Since he has come, he has been absolutely fantastic. I think he has been the only trade deadline bullpen guy to not give up any runs so far. I mean, now I say that he's going to give up 3 runs tonight, but he has 13.1 innings, 0 ERA, 18 strikeouts, 3 walks. He has been phenomenal. He's been coming in all of these high leverage positions and getting all those outs. It's been fantastic. And a big part of that is because we changed his pitch mix. Pretty much. That's basically it. He's not throwing his fastball as much because when he was with the National, I put it on the next slide if you want to go to that. With the Nationals, he was throwing his fastball like 66% of the time and his splitter only 30%. But now with the Tigers, he's throwing his splitter 51% and his fastball only 42, 43%. So that's probably a big reason behind why he's been a lot better. He's not going to stay a 0 ERA forever, obviously, but he has been phenomenal.
But if he did, he is a rental. So, like, I mean, yes, he's going.
I want to extend him. Like, yeah, I want to extend him. There's a really fun story. So, okay, he was born in Detroit and he lived there for the first couple of years. In 1994, during the players' strike, the Tigers were trying to get players on the team. Basically, his dad tried out for the Tigers when they were living in Detroit, and he actually made the team. And his dad has a jersey, has a Tigers jersey, with his name on it. And so it's a really fun kind of because as soon as Finnegan was traded to the Tigers, his dad sent him the picture of him wearing his jersey.
So, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that is fun.
But
is it the same number?
No, it's not the same number. Yeah, he's been so good for us. So I'm very happy with this trade. The guys we gave up have not been doing particularly well, but also it's been a month, so like, who knows?
No, I mean, Josh Randall is a fringe prospect. He's Nationals 28th. He's a 40 grade. RJ Sales wasn't even ranked. I couldn't find anything on him much. They've pitched about the same amount. They're reliever prospects. It's fine.
Yeah, I love Kyle Finnegan. I want him to stay here forever because he's. I don't care. He's so good. He came in against the Royals the other day with a man on third and 1 out, and he gets a strikeout, and then he gets, I think it was a top of the strikeout. But like, I mean, he
sure did.
Every time he comes out, he gets the outs. So. I mean, a combination of him and Will Vest is very good.
Yeah.
I think I was pretty much.
I'm going to go out on a limb real quick and just say that, I didn't look at every single trade deadline deal that was done, but there's one reliever from a trade deadline deal that I can think of that hasn't given up a run yet. And it's not Mason Miller, and it's not David Bednar, and it's not Yohan Duran. It's Kyle Finnegan. And Lee, we were both very critical of the Tigers' deadline, and it just goes to show, don't get too high or too low based on just name alone. At least not so far.
Yeah, I mean, Johan Duran I think he's blown 2 saves or like given up a hold or whatever, but like he's given up runs.
Right.
Kyle Finnegan has not given up a run, and he has not blown any saves, and he's gotten 2 wins with us already. Here's a stat. With the Nationals all season, he had gotten 4 saves. No, it was sorry. I had this bookmarked, but then I got away with it. Oh yeah, no. Okay, this is isn't saves. So with the Nationals this season, he has gotten more than 3 outs 4 times in 40 games. With the Tigers, he's gotten more than 3 outs 4 times in 11 games. So, yeah, I think a lot of it is just Tigers saw something in his pitches that the Nationals weren't utilizing, maybe to the best that he could have, and use the splitter more, and it's worked out very well so far. And we got to give credit to Kyle for being willing to be like completely changing the style that he pitches at that point, because I mean it was 65% fastball, but now it's majority of splitter. So
Well,
anyway, sorry for.
Anyway, should we let Sam say hello?
Yeah, sorry, Sam.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Just going over some trade deadline. Haven't gotten to the Royals yet. I actually had them listed twice, so if you're ready, we can go. I think we're almost wrapping up with Detroit here in a bit, but you can go next if you would like. But thoughts on your team?
Fine. That was good. Fun game last night. I was at the game last night. We got to see a nice little Bobby Baseball clutch home run in the bottom of the 8th inning. Pretty quiet game outside of that. Good first start for Stephen Kolek, who was able to pitch 6 innings of 1-run ball. And overall fun game and free Hawaiian shirt. So,
do I have your permission to show the to show your trash talk to Lee?
Go ahead.
Because I really got a kick out of this. I think we all did. Let's see if I can actually do this here. All right, just doing this, just live. It's fine. What's the worst that can happen? Share.
So we're on our way back from Kansas City to Columbia, but this was me and my parents and my brother-in-law and my sister went to the game last night.
All right, Wednesday. Oh, it's loading. Oh, dang it, we're so close. All right, I'm gonna give this one more shot here. Oh my goodness. Share, is this playing?
It was supposed to be Michael Wacha pitching last night, but he's on the paternity list, so he's
listed for today.
He's moving his start to today, I believe. And I thought it was a pretty good, for a Royals debut, 6 innings of 1-run ball was pretty good for Cole. That was quite the result.
You can't hate it.
I would have liked.
So maybe you guys might be a playoff team because Flaherty did really well against you. So there you go. There's
yeah, that's true.
So here's Sam, everyone, in all of his glory. Just Bobby Witt just hits a good home run, and he takes out his day. Just.
Now, to give a little peek behind the curtain, I may have been in a slightly altered state of mind in that clip. There may have been something contributing to my attitude in that moment.
It was worth. I just like the couple second pause. That's for you. I love it.
Perfect ending. We need a little bit more of that here at the AL Central Rundown.
Yeah, we do.
Well, it was good because For the first time, I've been to a game where we beat a division opponent this year, so I was pretty stoked about that. It's only like the third time I've been this year, and the first one was opening day. That was an L, and then I went to a doubleheader against the Rockies. So
Yeah, can't complain about it.
I'm going to one more game this year, for at least in the regular season, against the Guardians in a couple of weeks. So maybe I'll do something. But
yeah,
my dad discounted tickets, and I guess I'm going to a game on a Wednesday night when I get out of class at 5 p.m. I won't get home until 5:30, 5:40, and then I have to drive to Detroit in time for the 6:40 start.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But,
well, just speed, you know.
Yeah, pretty much.
all right, so
It's
we
hard to
get
speed
back.
through stop and go traffic in downtown Detroit, though.
Yeah, but I feel pretty good. The Royals are been, playing pretty competitive. They've had 6 games against the Tigers, in the span of about 10 games. And every game has been a competitive, hard-fought game by the Royals. So they ideally win this afternoon, and they will go 3-3 in those 6 games. But either way, they've really shown some fight in these 6 games.
Yeah.
I saw a stat that the last 10 Tigers Royals matchups have all been determined by 2 or fewer runs. So
I would buy that. That sounds about right to me. Yeah.
Are
Because
those equally
we're
divided? Because that's true with the Twins and Guardians only.
it's been
Pure
pretty
heartbreak
in
on one
favor
side.
of the Tigers, because Tigers have taken 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 in the first 3 series so far.
That reminds me of something I wanted to mention, Eric. So last night, Guardians are up 4-3 in the 8th, and Mr. Josh Naylor comes to the plate for Seattle. And I'm
Right.
shaking in my boots. I'm like, oh no, I've heard about this. I've been on one end of it. What's gonna happen here? This is about to be disaster, right? Nope. Kate Smith gets him to hit a little dribbler to second base, and the inning is over, crisis averted. And I just have to say, that's what everybody's so scared of all the time, Eric. That's the big
Yep.
scary Naylor brothers. That was,
Dang it.
I don't know, man. That
They owe their
Well, we
careers
just have
to
to wait
Minnesota.
till we meet the third Naylor brother.
We'll make it
Yeah,
my
I
life's
think-
mission
I
to
think
make sure
he's-
that doesn't happen.
I think he's still in high A or low A. No, because the high A team is in Lansing. So if he makes it there, then I'll go to a game and try and get a picture of him.
Like the
Just a bit.
Tigers, you will not make it off the tarmac. Actually, that sounded very threatening and ominous. I'm not going to kill anyone, everyone. I'm just going to
For
scare
the
them.
record,
Oh.
Miles Naylor looks exactly like his brothers. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they very distinct looking
I'll say
family.
there's a strong trait in that family. But, all right.
It was good to
I
see
wanna
Josh,
make-
though. He got an ovation. It was good to see him. He's playing well. Good for him.
he's like leading Seattle in stolen bases since the trade deadline
Yes.
or whatever.
That's weird.
Yeah, he's got 20 stolen bases this year.
I don't get it. All right, you do you, big man.
Well, Cleveland said they were worried about his cardio, so he has to give him one little middle finger for that.
He looked slimmer. Genuinely, he looked slimmer yesterday when I was watching. So, again, good for him. Seriously.
I think, just to wrap up my thoughts on the Royals real quick, one thing I noticed as I was looking at the standings, and it was interesting because, I would love it for the Royals to make a push and make the playoffs this September for obvious reasons. But if the Royals don't, manage to really make this a competitive wild card race, we're in for a very boring September, baseball-wise. Because outside of the Royals, the playoff picture has pretty much, both American League and National League, there's not going to be a lot of movement.
Right.
I don't really think
the AL East might get a little interesting because I think Toronto and the Yankees play one more time. But yeah,
as far
Really
as maybe who wins the specific divisions, there might be some drama there. But from just the perspective of who's making the playoffs, if the Royals don't, like, I don't think the Reds are going to overtake the Mets in the National League.
Sure. I'll be honest, I
So
haven't really looked at the National League at all.
No, yeah, there's
Yeah.
a huge gap. It's the Mets 5 games, the Reds. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty big gap there.
So most of the teams have either, like, outside of the Royals, who I think maybe have like a 15% chance at this moment of making the playoffs, depending on where you look. Outside of that, it's either 90% for most of the teams or like 4%.
All right. All right. Well, let's get back for Detroit. Finishing out, we have 3 more trades. They're all pretty. I mean, Detroit's trade deadline was not the most impressive batch of deals. Some worked out fine, but let's start off with the one that with a division rival. What's left of the Twins? Chris Paddock was on that team before. What are your thoughts on Paddock, Lee?
I don't know. He had his start on, I can't remember what day it is, on Friday was fine. I mean, he gave up 2 home runs in the first inning, but then went, another 2.1 innings after that, because he only went 3.2 innings that game. But I mean, it was fine after the first inning, and we won that game. And if you take out the 2 starts against the Twins, where I'm not entirely convinced he wasn't throwing on purpose, it's been fine. He's not going particularly deep, but I mean, in terms of, it's, I don't know how I don't know.
The one thing that, like, and it concerned people in Minnesota too, he's pitched 30 innings. He has a 5.40 ERA. A 6.15 FIP is bad. It's just not good. The 14 strikeouts, really, I don't want to, it's not unplayable, but, like, man, that's a lot of base. That's a lot of balls in play.
Yeah, it's been rough because he's only gone more than 5 innings once, because he's gone 6, 4, 5.2, 5.2, 5, 3.2. And he was pulled after like just 62 pitches against the Royals in the first series last week against them. He had a really nice quote actually about that decision where he's like, AJ knows better than me in terms of when I should get pulled out. I'm not going to get upset about, it was really nice.
Right.
It's a nice quote. Like, he's getting pulled 60 pitches deep. It's a bit weird. And, like, again, for that one start against Kansas City last week, it was 5 innings, 1 run, and he was pulled after 62 pitches.
Yep.
Because I don't think AJ wants him to face the order a third time around, pretty much, which makes me think he's going to go to the bullpen kind of soon. Maybe. I don't know if he'll go before the end of the season.
Right.
I think it's inevitable he will, though. He's not going to start any postseason games unless it's for like 2 innings and part of pitching chaos. But he's not going to be a traditional starter in the postseason. But we got him because Reese Olson was injured. So, yeah. And then Randy Dobnak hasn't been up at all. He's been fine in Toledo. It's whatever. He's depth because we need depth in AAA.
I don't even think he's depth. He was Twin salary relief. I don't think, even if you have to have like probably 5 guys go down for you to consider Dobnak. He's making $3 million for this year. He's barely been on the major league roster. It's salary relief. He's a good dude. Sounds like. I don't know him personally, but yeah. I don't think they're going to be picking up his team options.
Probably not. No.
But Twins got a decent prospect. I thought they got like on the high side for Paddock. I don't get me wrong. I don't think the Tigers are going to miss Enrique Jimenez. He's had a really nice month. 1 point OPS. I had 63 at bats. He had 5 home runs. He's 19 at high A, so that's a little young for that, but not much.
I think he was just called up when he was traded to the Twins because he was in the Florida Complex League in Detroit. So,
striking out maybe a little bit higher than you'd want him to, but also has a lot of walks. But it's also high A or low A. There's a lot of pitchers that don't know where the hell the ball is going, so it's hard to really do it. He's a decent prospect, 30th overall, 40 grade prospects. To be determined.
I had a stupid interaction with someone on Twitter where someone was like, "Why did we trade this guy? Because he was, 1038 OPS." And I'm like, "Okay, we can't have it both ways. Are we going to complain every single time we trade a prospect who does well, or are we going to complain about not trading prospects?
Yes.
Pick a lane. Stick to it."
They will not pick a lane.
I'm like, come on.
All right, moving on. It's fine. He's 19 years old. Chances of him, it's like a 50-50 chance he even gets to AA, let alone.
We have two great catchers at AA, and we just drafted another one. I'm not concerned.
Yeah.
All right, and then Paul Seward, he hasn't pitched. He's been injured. He's on the IL for another week and a half, I think. He's thrown 2 bullpens. I don't know who he is. It's
Nothing sauce. Mutual option won't get picked up, so he's a rental, but he's technically not a rental.
Apparently his bullpens have been good, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah, Cody Hewer, he was called up just for a brief cup of coffee in part of the Pitching Chaos 2.0 in bullpen rotation. I mean, it wasn't good. He was there. I don't know if he's still up, actually.
Right.
I forget if he set it down.
There's nothing you can measure in 3 innings pitched.
Yeah.
He got through it. Good for him. He gave up a run.
Yeah, it's whatever. I don't care because we gave up cash.
Right.
Money.
I'd also be curious
to buy goods
how
and
much
services.
True.
Okay. I think that's Detroit.
Yeah, we did the quantity over quality approach.
Yeah. And it's worked out fine with Finnegan. How have they played? I guess we kind of went over it. Do we want to go over their splits briefly?
For Tigers, in terms of just record.
Yeah, I was just going to pull up the baseball reference page, but if not, we can certainly go past that.
In one stat I was reading, this is an article from yesterday, so I don't know if it was after Holton gave up the 2-run homer or not. But Tigers, as of yesterday, Tigers bullpen second overall in MLB. So, yay, that's something in the month of August. So
can't hate it.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Kansas City. Oh, you said you had another point, Lee, or no?
No, I think I was saying that was the most important point.
Fair enough. Sam, are you ready to talk about the Royals?
I am ready to talk about the Royals trade.
We're starting off with the best. So you can see the screen, right?
Yeah, I can see the screen, yep. So, Mike Yastrzemski has been pretty good for the Royals this season in a year that has been marred by bad outfield play. As far as at the plate, he has come in and been a real kind of catalyst at the top of the lineup. He's hit, I think, 3 or 4 leadoff home runs since joining the Royals. So he has been very good. And you can see right there, August, 988 OPS. He's had 15 extra base hits in 81 at-bats. So he's been good. The Royals gave up a pitching prospect, don't really know too much about, Junior Marte. He was their 20th overall prospect. So not a huge cost there, but Mike Yastrzemski has been really good. And
especially I think you're being charitable when you say that the Royals outfield has just been bad. It's been a black hole. There's been no hope in that outfield.
There has not been, and I think one of the things that they did in trading for Yastrzemski, that's kind of the sort of flashier move that everyone sees because he's had all the home runs and blah 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 blah. They also got Adam Frazier, who can play in the outfield. Frazier's been really good for the Royals, too. That was like a couple weeks before the trade deadline. I think he's been hitting over 300 since he got to the Royals. So both of those moves are not, you're not trading for a future Hall of Famer, but you're trading for someone who is, better than...
Just the nephew of a Hall of Famer.
He's the grandson.
Oh, is
the
that what he
whole
is?
thing.
All right.
Yes, he's
And
Carl's
is
grandson.
is Yastrzemski still leading off as well?
He's usually leading off. So when he's in the lineup,
Yeah.
he's usually in that leadoff position. I think he might be sitting today against Scooble, um, but he has been kind of really. He's emerged as a really good option for that leadoff spot.
I
Right.
know that was the other thing the Royals were severely lacking for a couple years now, is somebody just to hit in front of Witt. So
Yes,
that makes a world of difference as well.
Well, I
yeah, and
looked like we were randomly at a bar and because the game was on like National Fox last year or last night. Freaking Vinny Pasquantino has 28 home runs. When the heck did this happen?
he had 5 straight games with a home run. Um, so he was on quite a tear for about a week there. He's been really hitting a lot of home runs. And the Royals as a whole have been hitting a lot of home runs too. I mean, maybe not a lot, but a lot more than they were because they were not hitting home runs earlier in the year. But like
I,
last night, they had 3 runs. All of them were on a home run.
I think all their runs on Friday's game too for the Royals came from home runs also.
Yeah, I
Because
think
there was
that's
a
the case.
yeah, because there was a Yastrzemski leadoff, and then Michael Garcia had a 2-run homer.
Yeah. So
we've
they've been doing
we've talked
a
about
lot better hitting the
the
long ball.
we've talked about the lethargy of that Royals offense, but now you look at it with Yaz at the top, you know, Yaz, Witt, Pasquantino,
Michael,
Garcia's had a great
yeah.
season.
Perez.
Salvi's maybe not what he once was, but still solid. India now hits in the 7th spot. That's not a bad lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I would
obviously
like to
Vinny
No.
say,
is way better.
I said a couple months ago that of the teams who were at the time in around 500, Royals were best set up to be able to go on a run
Sure.
or
Yeah.
succeed in the near future because they had the pitching. The offense just needed to figure itself out.
Right.
Offense
I
figured
don't.
itself out.
I don't
And
think like. I
one of
don't
the
think
things
this
that
is
I
a
discussed
particularly.
with my dad earlier this morning after the game is that if they had come into the year with this team, they would be competing for the division right now. Is that they had such a nothing burger of an offseason that if they had put themselves in this position at the beginning of the year with these players, they'd probably have another 5, 6 wins.
Yeah, I can see
Sure.
that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think. I don't think that. I think this is now. It's been promoted to an average offense. I don't want to like go crazy and say like they're about to compete
No,
top five in the American League, but it's adequate. And when you have that good of a pitching staff, you're suddenly a really good. Like you're a good team now, just
yeah,
solid
and
good.
yeah, and that's what they've been over the last month as far as score, or really since July. Since July 1st, they've been a lot better.
All right. Next up, Gritchick for a very surprised Andrew Hoffman.
That's a very unfortunate picture there. And when I see that photo, he looks like a kid in a school photo, like a very small kid in a school photo who doesn't know how to smile for a photo yet.
I can see it.
Um, Randall Gritchick has been kind of just a piece. He hasn't played as much as Yastrzemski has. He's been okay in 59 at bats. He hasn't been, for some reason, Matt Quatrero really enjoys playing John Rave. Uh, I don't know what that's all about, but Randall Gritchick has been fine in 59 at bats. And they got him for Andrew Hoffman, who has just been the 26th guy up and
Yeah.
down between Omaha and Kansas City a lot this year, and not much given up for that.
No. I mean, maybe he turned something, but like, yeah, he has in 6 innings, he has an 8 ERA. It's the team control that you think you can get value out of, but yeah, we'll see. He just seems like reliever X is what they got, and that's perfectly fine for Gritchick.
Yeah,
Next, Falter for Evan Sisk and Callan Moss.
Yeah, Falter was kind of the real black sheep of this Royals trade deadline. They have thankfully immediately, maybe not immediately, but pretty quickly pulled the ripcord on this guy.
Yeah.
He he pitched 12 innings. He has had an 11.25 ERA
Yep.
and some other numbers that aren't too good. Royals had a lot of starting pitcher injuries, so they needed to bring in someone who could be, who could fill
Mhm.
in. And Falter, who was having an okay little season with the Pirates, has that ended pretty quickly.
Yeah, it did. Evan Sisko, I think the Twins, he used to be in the Twins organization when they traded for Michael A. Taylor. I think he was part of that package. And then Callan Moss has had a really nice month. He's 22 in high A. That's a little old for high A, so not much of a prospect. I don't know why I have the Nationals and sorry, I did all of these like 3 hours before the show, and it took much longer than I thought it would. I complained to
Mm-hmm.
Lee for probably 45 minutes before it was anyway. Um, but yeah, he's had a really nice month, but we'll see. I didn't see his falters. Is he a rental or is he has team control?
I think he's a. I
Okay,
believe that's
it
the
might not also
case.
matter.
So yeah, it might
Let
not
me
matter. He might
pull it
get
up.
DFA'd.
No, he's got team control. He's a free agent in 29.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll
Yeah.
see.
Well,
Jury's out. 28-year-old. See what he can do. But
yeah. Who knows?
Cleveland.
Oh, you forgot one, Eric.
Did I? Who'd I forget?
Yeah, you forgot the Freddie Fermin trade.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'll just pull up that page. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, the Twins are playing San Diego right now too, and I saw him. That's right.
Yeah. No, that's. I think that trade has worked out as well. They got Ryan Bergert, who's been pretty good. He's given them a couple of very very solid starts in place of the injured starting pitchers. They also got Stephen Kolek, who, as mentioned, pitched last night. Freddie is a 30-year-old backup catcher, so as much as he was a fan favorite, he was a movable piece, especially with the catching depth that the Royals have in the minor leagues.
Just for Berger, 28 innings pitched, four. Where's his ERA? 2.54 ERA with a 4.04 FIP. So that's been perfectly fine.
Yep,
Pretty
I'll
good.
take that. So all in all, the moves they made at the trade deadline, thumbs up, I would say so far. The team has really, really kind of had as bad of a month of June as they had. They really hit their stride at the beginning of July. And since then, I think they have one of the, if you look at the best records in baseball since July, I think the Royals are fourth or fifth, if I remember correctly. So, um, and they've been scoring runs at a pretty good clip since then, which is what we asked for from this team. So I'm happy with the way things have turned out, and I hope that they will continue to put some wins together in the month of September.
All right. Cleveland, Dan. Starting off with the one that probably hurts the most. Well, maybe jury's still out, but nostalgia.
This this is a weird trade, just by virtue of the fact that both players involved in the trade were injured at the time of the trade. Um, Shane Bieber moving on to Toronto in this deal. I feel a mix of emotions about, like you were alluding to a minute ago. On the one end of things, he was likely not in the long-term plans
Yeah.
of the Guardians, so to get something for him is probably the right logical move. However, given the fact that they remain kind of flirting with a
Yeah.
playoff position, 2 games above 500, three out in the wild card, um, to have Shane Bieber taking the ball once every 5 days right now would be a significant step towards feeling a lot more confident in their ability to make it to October. And he's
I
looked
think
really good for the
flirting might
Royals.
be a strong word, Dan.
Well, they're only 3 games out and 1 game behind Kansas City. So
Well, I guess
they were a
that's true.
Bobby Witt home run last night away from being tied with the Royals. So um, anyway,
I do want to say
yeah,
I think it's funny that Dan has looped back from wanting the Tigers to lose to catch them in the division to now Tigers win to catch the
yeah.
Royals in the wild card.
I am actively rooting for the Tigers this weekend in our Discord chat. That has happened. It's interesting the enemy of your enemy is your friend kind of scenarios that
Oh,
kind of come
oh
up.
yeah, I think
But
I've mentioned it before, but like last year, Tigers and Royals were playing each other at the same time the Twins and Guardians were playing each other. And so Guardians and Tigers were rooting for each other, which is like cats and dogs getting along in terms of like
I
Michigan,
love that
Ohio.
2 other people on this podcast have had the perception that the Guardians were further away from the playoffs than they are, and that just goes. And that's not a criticism of you guys. That's just the nature of this season, man. For the Guardians, like I was saying, they've won their last 4. Before that, they were 7-11 in their last 18. All that comes out to 14-12 since the deadline, which is above 500. Anyway, Bieber, he's been great for Toronto in 2 starts. 11 in the third, 238 ERA, 062 whip with a stat that I was able to pull out. That's
Okay.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Toronto's 1-1 in his 2 starts, but he's looked just about as good as you would hope somebody coming right off of Tommy John surgery would look. I mean, 15 Ks, no walks. My goodness.
Right. They can't do better than what he's doing right
He
now.
looks he looks like Shane Bieber. He
Yes.
looks like that guy. Which I said it about Josh Naylor a minute ago. I'll say it about Shane Bieber. Good for him. Good for those guys. Clap
Yeah.
for him. It's good to see them succeeding, even if it's not in a Guardians uniform. But it does hurt a little bit because man, would it be nice to maybe have those starts down the stretch. Um, Particularly when the starting rotation hasn't been. It's definitely not the offense has been the biggest issue, but the rotation can be better as well. In return, Cal Steven was also injured at the time of the trade. He had a shoulder impingement, and a combination of him being a young player, having an injury, not necessarily. I think they're being careful with his return.
Right.
Um, his future isn't going to be made or broken by how many starts he makes at the end of the season for the Akron Rubber Ducks. So he did make his first appearance a week ago, and he went 3 scoreless innings, 2 hits, 2 Ks. Was perfectly fine, looked good, and he'll start again today. But he only has that one appearance so far to go off of. I will say something I was watching earlier this week, another one of the shows out there. They made the point, and I tend to agree with it. The Guardians tend to go for quantity when they make a deal like this. The fact that they were willing to trade Bieber 1-for-1 for a pitching prospect, I think speaks to how they feel about Cal
Mhm.
Steven. So he's currently the number 7 prospect in the organization. He projects to be about a 3 starter potentially, and we'll see how what comes of that. But in the immediate, it does sting to lose Shane, but this organization's made enough decisions that they deserve a little bit of patience with maybe what we see out of Cal Steven by the next couple of years.
Yeah. He'll be a number 3 starter by 2 years from now.
That's the hope.
No, I missed a trade. No. That was Cleveland had more than that, right?
The other one was Seawald.
So
Seawald. Okay.
We didn't. Paul Sewald was not particularly good for Cleveland when he was here. He was banged up, and I don't necessarily put that all on him. Um, they either got money or a player to be named later for him, and I don't have much to say about either of those items because I don't know the details of them. So
Yep.
I am curious to see if Sewald is able to contribute to Detroit down the stretch. I do think there's still a good veteran reliever in there somewhere, but that's something for Mr. Hinch to figure out down the line here.
All right. Well, I'm not going to go into a tremendous amount of detail other than what's on the screen with the Twins. We all know they traded 10 players off the active roster. The beginning results have been less than impressive, either with the players going to or the players they got. So we'll start off with probably the best, not probably the best package they got back in return. They traded Juwan Duran to the Phillies, who's looked really good. Philly is like there's a there not a protest. There's a petition in Philadelphia to buy up the airtime going into his save situation so that everyone can watch his entrance. Which, if anybody hasn't seen, is pretty cool. They turn on the lights, everyone turns up their phone, and then they hit the Undertaker's, gong theme, and then they have his walkout music, which is pretty cool. The Twins just sent that whole package over to Philadelphia. The package they got back was for Eduardo Tait. I'm pretty sure I said Tate the first time he came on. I said his name incorrectly. 55 grade prospect. Has been pushed pretty hard. He's in high A right now. He's 19 years old, holding his own, which you really like to see. I think he's 3 or 4 years younger than the average competition in that league. Decent walker, strikes out, decent amount. Would like to see a few more walks, I'll be honest with you, but he's been perfectly fine. And Mick Abel. That ERA is not a typo. He literally has a 27 ERA in the majors with the Twins. That includes they did a piggyback start with Taj Bradley yesterday. We'll talk about him in a second. And he has the stuff. The fastball sits at 96. It tops out at 98. He looks like he has throws, I think, 5 or 6 different pitches. I just think he's tipping. Is kind of what it looks like, and that's only because I've seen, I guess, what's the Twins' blue sky. You can actually see like photos of how he holds a fastball versus an off-speed pitch, and if people on social media are picking that up, the teams have 5 other tells on him. So I have a feeling he just needs to work on that. I hope, if not, that's going to be a real bad bust. 24 years old in the majors, 50 grade prospect. It's been ugly so far, but hey, it's been 4 innings. Who cares? And that's kind of the attitude with the Twins right now is, hey, who cares?
Sorry. I feel like there's not enough attention is paid to the fact that Duran's picture here looks so sad. Why does he look so sad? He looks like he's on the cover of a 2000s boy band.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Because he misses Minnesota so much. And I say that on my phone screen right now. Luis Ariz is in a San Diego Padres uniform. So memories all around.
I feel like more attention needs to be paid to his picture because it's kind of funny.
Do you think any of these players legitimately miss being in Minnesota, Eric?
Not at the end. I think Minnesota, and now granted, Kate, this is coming from very biased sources, but players genuinely feel they're treated well in Minnesota. Like they let the wives and their families come in. Like they have a daycare right next to the clubhouse. They let the spouses come in and out as they would like. For all of my criticism of the Pohlad family, they do seem to like take care of the players on a human level. As far as the performance, I bet you 5 years from now, not even 5 years from now, 5 months from now, there's going to be real interesting stories coming out of what the hell happened over the last year. But it's probably a mixed thing.
Those like team report cards that they do in the NFL where like the players like give like grades for like facilities and locker room and all that type of stuff. Do they do that in MLB?
Not really. You have The Athletic does the anonymous player survey, and the Twins really weren't mentioned in either like places you want to be or places you don't want to be. They're just like that middle level, from what I can tell.
Yeah, because I think that the Twins would probably, from what you're saying, would probably do well in a survey like that.
Yeah. I would think. Not for nothing. I would love to see a winning team in good baseball, and I'm probably not going to see that for at least 1 or 2 plus years. But it is nice to be like, they do like not the culture of Minnesota, but like when they're here, they genuinely enjoy it. Some don't. We'll talk about a trade of a player who didn't. But all right, next, Harrison Bader. I miss him. He was only here. He's going to go in the Jim Thome and Carlos Santana category in my heart of players. In my mind, played multiple years with the Twins when he played half a year. He was fun to watch. He has been very good for Philly this year. He was really good for the Twins, but he's taken that up a step since he's been 883 OPS and 71 at bats, striking out about his normal rate, maybe a little bit high. In back, they got a pretty decent prospect guy, Henry Mendez. He's an awkward profile. He's not fast, but he's also not he's not a slugger. He's a contact first guy who doesn't necessarily walk a lot, but he controls the strike zone. He's like a contact guy without slug, but he's not a good defender and he's not fast. But if he hits 300, I guess it doesn't matter. We'll see where he ultimately ends up. He's had a nice month with them. And then Jeremy Villoria, he doesn't even have a picture on MILB, so I guess they traded for the bucket of balls if you go with his profile picture here. He's a 17-year-old in the Dominican Summer League. We'll see, or we will never see. He is at minimum 6 years away from the majors. All right. The player that wanted out, very, not publicly, but his last fiasco with Minnesota was pushed him over the edge. If anyone didn't see, he got the rug pulled underneath him because it was the day before the deadline, or it was the day of the deadline, whatever it was. No, it was the day because the Twins had the off day. And the Twins were down, as they have been a lot this year. They've been down by like 8 runs. And they couldn't bring in a position player because there's a 10-run rule for that now. So, and they didn't want to give any of their other relievers in the game because they were either A, already used, or were about to be traded. So Griffin, who looked like he was probably going to be staying on the team, was asked to pitch through an inning, gave up a couple runs, got to the 10-run rule limit, and then Rocco pulled him for a position player with the bases loaded, and the position player gave up all 4 runs, which got tacked on to Griffin's ERA, which is not going to look great for his salary arbitration this year. He's in the second year of arbitration, so he was mighty angry about it. That day, there was like a meeting in Rocco's office, and Correa was there because there was rumors that he was going to get traded and all of that type of stuff. And he asked, Jax, asked his lawyer or asked his agent to ask the Twins for a trade. That trade ended up happening at Taj Bradley, who 2 years ago was a top 50 overall prospect, looked to be real good, looked to be a real nice pickup. He has not looked that great in the majors. Now he has a 7 ERA. He's looked fine. He really struggles in the first 2 innings, I guess. He had 1 start where, that rang true. I think he had like 5 runs in 2 innings and got ran. And then last night he actually had a pretty decent start before Mark Abel gave up a bunch of runs. Jax hasn't been good, which I wouldn't have predicted. 10 innings pitched, 6 ERA. Not a great FIP, which for the Rays, I am very surprised to see that happen. I'm going to assume he'll turn it around here in a second.
Were any of those runs given up by a position player?
Not that I know of, but I wonder if that cost him $250,000 in arbitration.
He has been better than Taj Bradley.
You broke up there pretty well, Dan. What was that?
You were a robot.
What did
I
you
said
say?
he has been better than Taj. I said he has been better than Taj Bradley in the exact same number of innings.
This is true. Their FIP is very similar, though. Only Taj has not struck out nearly as much.
But he's walked fewer.
Yeah. Willie Castro, he's been pretty bad for the Cubs. Pretty limited plate appearances. Gallagher and Armstrong, they're fine. 16 rated prospect for Gallagher. Don't know much about these guys. Won't pretend to. Let's move on. Brock Stewart. I mean, the guy got put on the IL. He has 3 years of team control after the Dodgers. hasn't looked great. That's just been the story of Brock Stewart of going on the IL. When he's healthy, he's looked really good, except for obviously these 3 innings he's been with the Dodgers. There is kind of speculation because if anybody remembers, it took like 2 hours for once from Brock Stewart to be reported to be traded to actually being traded. There were 2 hours to get the package back. And it sounds like there was more than just James Outman that were going back to Minnesota. LA saw the medicals and then pulled back the prospect, and then James Outman ended up going to Minnesota. He just got called up from AAA. Not much to really tell. He strikes out a lot, though. It's like Joey Gallo levels of striking out. Sounds like he has a bunch of power, but he just needs to figure out. He's 28 years old. He has 4 years of team control. I'm gonna guess all 4 of those years are not going to matter as far as value for the Twins. Danny Colome has pitched terrible for Texas. Garrett Horn seems like a guy that the Twins would have targeted in the draft last year. He's looked pretty good. Well, if he's good, we'll talk about him later. And the one that broke my heart. Louis Varland and Ty France got traded to the Blue Jays for a 50-grade prospect, Kendry Rojas, and Alan Roden. Alan Roden, because Minnesota can't have nice things, has already been put on the IL for the rest of the year with a thumb injury for catching a really nice play in Toronto, catching up a ball against the wall, and didn't break his thumb, but like there's like a ligament in his thumb that he broke. Louis Varland had 5 years of team control. Yes, he hasn't looked good for Toronto, but that hurt. He was born and raised in Minnesota. He was drafted by Minnesota and traded with 5 years of team control. That sucks. Ty France, I don't care. Like he's looked fine. He does for a first baseman. He doesn't hit for power or for extra bases. He's a contact guy. He's had a good month for them. I don't think that's going to last for them in September, but good for him. He's had a good month. Kendry Rojas, they like a lot. He's in AAA. Walked a lot of guys so far, but it's been 16 innings. And this one. Carlos Correa goes to the Astros for Matt Mikulski and $70 million. Matt Mikulski is a 26-year-old non-prospect who was signed out of independent ball, who I think the Astros were told literally anyone so it doesn't look like a pure salary dump. Well, it still looks like a pure salary dump. Correa's looked back to form in Houston. If you want to take that,
he got off to a really hot start, and then he started going a little bit down.
Yeah.
So, but
if you want to take the buzz around Minnesota, was he giving his all for Minnesota? Was the leadership all there? Blah, 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 blah. Who knows? Would it surprise me if Carlos Correa is the type of player that when you're competitive, he really locks in, and if you're not competitive, he kind of like checks out? I can believe that. He didn't sign with Minnesota for what the Twins became, but I would also argue his performance with the Twins and his injuries with the Twins led to what ended up being the biggest fire sale in trade deadline history. And
one thing
and don't
before you
forget
move off of Correa.
Yep.
The one thing I had heard in the aftermath of that is Correa had talked to the Twins about moving to third base, and that didn't come to fruition for whatever reason. I forget the details of that now, but basically, I don't think he was particularly pleased with that. He didn't get, the opportunity to move over there.
I think that depends on how you want to read quotes. Like, I don't know what the audio was. I think, yes, that came in Minnesota too. To me, and this is granted, I'm reading it as a Twins fan and like thinking whatever, but he said that he opened up in 2023 that he's open to moving to third base, but he didn't like demand it. And he also looked at the Twins roster. They'd explained it to like he was still the best shortstop in the organization. So, and they had Royce Lewis who was going to play third. They had like Brooks Lee was coming up at that point. Yes, he said, I think it was the conversation as I'm interpreting it was he went to the organization saying he is open to moving to third base rather than move me to third base. But maybe that
sounds more like, no, it sounds more like if you put it in that context, it sounds more like clarity on his comfortability with moving to third in Houston then. So Jeremy Pena can.
And I think that's what sparked it, because I think the question was, hey, you're going from shortstop and you're going to be asked to play third base in Houston. Do you have any issues with that? And he responded with, no, I don't have any issues with it. In fact, 2 years ago, I said to the Twins I was open to moving. But he could have also been frustrated that they didn't move him also, because that was also the first year he had the plantar fasciitis. And he could, I mean, I'm sure in his mind he's saying, I could be healthier and more productive for the team if you move me to third base.
I think it's more of a showing that he was willing to make that move for the Twins and wasn't like,
Yeah.
Not giving it his all in Minnesota, or trying to show that at least. Also, I think it's important to note that he is back to being insufferable with the Astros. So
see, I kind of like it though. I don't know. Because he's being insufferable to the Yankees, lest we forget. I understand the Astros are not angels and they have probably the second or third biggest scandal in baseball history, but like it's the Yankees. Let's talk some shit. Like,
yeah, but I wanted to bring that up because it's important. I feel like it's important.
All right, and Chicago, they just had a couple trades they'll trade on. They traded Adrian Hauser to the Rays. I'll be honest, I had never heard of Adrian Hauser before this trade deadline. I won't tell you the White Sox got an incredible package back, but to get 2 AAA pitchers and then a position player in the majors already for someone you traded for earlier this year, that's a nice little piece of business.
Before a rental too.
Yeah, like this is, I think, a really good trade. Like, I don't want to say this is like a contender for the best trade in the division, but like I think it's like top 3 or 4 to me. And then they traded Austin Slater to the Yankees. They got back a fringe reliever prospect. We'll see if Gage Zeal, who has obviously an awesome name, we'll see if he pans out. But that is the trade deadline, anyone. Who had the best deadline? Lee, you're up first.
Oh boy. I don't know. I feel like it's too early to call any winners, or in terms of like, who is it? That's a cop-out answer.
Yes, it is.
I don't want to say the Tigers because it's biased, but Kyle.
If you think it's the Tigers, then say the Tigers.
I mean, Kyle Finnegan, I think it's the best trade out of all of those, in my opinion. I think Yastrzemski is like a close second.
Yep.
In terms of that, but like, yeah, I mean, I don't. I think it's too early to really.
So you like Yaz?
Best trade. Oh my god! I will kick you out.
You don't have that. Well, maybe you still might have that authority. I think the Royals had probably the best deadline. I don't think they set the world on fire, but they covered a few holes. That's the relieving prospect the reliever didn't turn out well, but I kind of like what they did, and it's showing pretty well.
I think I agree with that, and I think it's also setting themselves up for next season. So I think because a lot of the guys they got have team control, so it might not be fully determined in next season, but I think that they probably won the trade deadline.
Yeah, so far. Dan?
I'm torn, and I think we've highlighted the 2 teams that it's between. I got to go with Kansas City. I stand by that. Their offense took a significant step forward with Yastrzemski added to it, and I'm as good as Detroit is. They're amassing a bunch of pitching talent too, and as a team that's hoping to be competitive in this Central in the next couple of years, I think Kansas City is going to be a very good rival for that at this point in time, along with Detroit. I do reserve the right that if Cal Steven turns into more than expected, the Guardians won this deadline, but we're not going to know that for.
So I had the Guardians a second, for that reason, because they're going to turn Cal Steven into a number 3 starter 2 years from now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I also reserve the right if Kyle Finnegan saves Game 5 of the World Series and the Tigers win the World Series, then
that's the thing. It's all results. It's
Yeah.
How so much of it is results based. If Royals don't make the postseason and Yastrzemski doesn't resign, or whatever.
At this moment, it's Kansas City to answer the question.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that because just the offensive power up that Yastrzemski has given that lineup is huge.
Does anyone think Minnesota did not have the worst deadline? I think to me it's clear they were last. Like they did not have a good deadline. What they traded in and what they got back, I don't think was enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little light.
You can't trade away almost half your team and not have the worst trade deadline.
I mean, maybe
do
3
think
years
you can
from now, we'll look at it and be like, all these players they got turned out to be really good. This was a huge revamp, but I just don't see that happening.
I don't either.
I think the one argument you can make is Chicago made a lot of non-trades that maybe they could have and gotten value. But I think I'm sorry, Eric. I think I'd rather be in the White Sox position than the Twins position, right? As of today.
It depends on what you think of the player development of the Twins, which honestly has not had a stellar 2 or 3 years. Now, is that the prospects or is that their development is what we're about to find out. But I think there is a world that you can trade away 10 players and turn out the better of it. Not right away, like because the bullpen, like they traded 5 of their 8 bullpen guys. You're not going to figure that out quickly. It's just what they got back just doesn't. It's light. They paid for $1, they got 90 cents back, and what's the value in that? At least be like, if they would have gotten, I mean, they didn't need to get like a Joan Duran level of like trade value, but like I would have expected more for Griffin Jacks. I would have expected more for Louis Varland, and that's fine. They got Roden and they got Rojas, and they like them both, and they can turn it around. It just, I don't know. And I also, the value in trading Correa, I don't think it's going to come to fruition because I don't think that the $20 million they're now going to have off the books for next year is going to get reinvested in the team. So that's just going to sit. So that does absolutely nothing. And I think it'll be like now that's a funny debate on Twins Reddit. Where is the ghost of Carlos Correa's $10 million salary going to rank on the Twins' payroll next year? And it might be second. We'll see.
If it makes you
we got
feel
some
any better,
recaps. We're also
hold
at.
up,
Go ahead.
real quick. If it makes you feel any better, the Guardians shipped off a combined $27 million in the last month between Shane Bieber and Carlos Santana. 2 of the higher profile contracts that were in the organization. One was traded off, the other one just released. So there's been some question of when the Guardians do make a signing of more than a higher value, um, are they spending their money wisely? And I think there's an argument to be made there, but I do think it's also a little overblown.
Sure. So we have some recaps. We're also at an hour 50, so maybe we keep these a little bit brief and then we can go over the schedule. But Sam, you have you want to talk about the White Sox and the Royals series?
Yeah, I can be pretty quick with that one. Royals took 2 out of 3 from the White Sox earlier this week. Game 1 was just they ran into a really great individual pitching performance there. That was had a no hitter, or I think that I don't remember exactly when the no hitter was broken up, but it was a 2-hitter by the White Sox in that game. So that'll happen every once in a while. Game 2, they had to snatch victory late in that game. They put themselves back in it with a late rally to avoid losing the series. And then they clobbered the White Sox in the final game. So, nice little series. Would have been nice to win all 3. But, you run into, as is the case in baseball, you occasionally run into a guy who has his best start of the season, and then they had to kind of scrap out the second win. So, good 2 out of 3 from Chicago.
All right, next up, Tigers Royals. Lee?
All right, yeah. I'll I'll go first with this one. So I was at work for both of these games, so I couldn't watch, but I was, following along via game day and everything. So I want to paint the picture for the first game. I talk a lot on these, but I feel like it's important. The first inning, Tigers get the bases loaded, 2 outs. Wenzel Perez is up 3-0 and then ends up striking out. So that was a annoying inning. Load the bases, don't score any. The next inning, very first pitch, Mike Yastrzemski home run right off the bat, and then Michael Garcia got a home run, 2-1 home run. So we're in 3-0 right off the bat. We strand like 5 runners in the first 2 innings, but we do end up. We got the win because we got 2 runs scored in the second, and then I think it was 2 more in the fourth. And then Kyle Finnegan came in a really big moment, got a huge strikeout, and got the third out with a runner on third, 1 out. Paddock was fine, but Troy Melton was really the best pitching performance from the Tigers in that. I think it was 3.1 innings of scoreless baseball. So I really like Troy Melton. This is a Troy Melton appreciation moment because for any of you who are curious, Dan Dickerson and Jason Benetti have a podcast where they sit down with like Tigers players or someone in the organization like every other week or so. Troy Melton's episode was fantastic because he is such a competitor. He's so confident for a guy who just got called up a month and a half ago ish. So he's good. Riley Green reached 100 and 101 RBIs in the season, making him the 4th Tigers player to have been drafted by the organization and hit 30 homers with 100 RBIs in a season. First Tiger to have 100 RBIs in a season since 2017. Because you were wondering how, our offensive woes have been long and storied. So good first game to fight back in that. And then the third game was, Tigers had opportunities to score, couldn't. Bobby Witt Jr.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a little bit frustrating because obviously they got up 3-0 and then ended up losing. Seth Lugo has not been good since he signed that extension, and I don't know what it is, but he's had 3 out of his, I think, 4 starts since signing that extension where he really just has not had his best stuff. So I don't know if that's just a little, just a little aberration or what it is, but sometimes you get that extension and things might change a little bit, but I hope that he can bounce back in his next couple starts.
I mean, he's like 35, right? It just could just be fatigue.
Yeah, and he's been pitching a lot. He's had his 2 biggest years as far as number of innings pitched the last 2 years. So there's there's a decent amount of miles on those tires, and we'll see. But hopefully he can have a bounce back start.
Sam, I don't know if you want to talk about the bottom of the 9th of that first game with a runner on, no outs, and Yastrzemski at the 3-0 pitch.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I don't know what I want to say about that because it's a situation where you're down by 2, you need to be aggressive. You need to swing the bat. And I understand that the result wasn't the best. It was actually probably the worst result possible. But I think that they, and you only have a guy on first, and you're down by 2. You gotta try to take some chances. So, as much as we might question that decision, it's also a situation where you need to be aggressive.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Having watched that as a I guess not impartial third party based on what I said earlier, but as somebody that isn't a fan of either of the teams, I kind of agree with Sam. Yastrzemski's been swinging a hot bat, 3-0 count, got a pitch to hit. Wasn't a poor swing decision. He hit it hard. He just hit it. He just hit it right at Glaber. I think it was Glaber. That happens. Good decision. Execution could have been better, and I don't fault him for that at all.
Yeah, because I mean, looking at it, it was a. I mean, it was a kind of a meatball because it was like 95, like in the middle inside area. And I want to note that was Will Vest pitching. He kind of got bailed out hard because his last appearance before this was against the A's when we got walked off. He gives a 2 runs on a single and 3 walks. So he walked in a run to get walked off. And then the next appearance, a single, and then got in a 3-0 count, and then got in the double play. But like he got bailed out on that. I'm gonna be honest because that was a pitch that could have been hit 400 feet. It was just rolled over, or I don't know what it technically was, but yeah, I think it was. I think it was the right decision to swing because, it was, like we said, it was a good pitch to hit. It's just unlucky. But yeah, these have been competitive series for the Tigers and Royals. I mean, it's turned out in the Tigers' favor more often than not, but I mean, they're good series. It's good baseball.
Going backwards for a second, but we talked earlier about bridge guys for the Tigers down the stretch, guys that are pitching multiple innings after the starter, maybe early on in a playoff game. Do you think Melton is being groomed for that role potentially? Just the way he got used Friday kind of suggests to me that might be the case.
Yeah, that looks like to be a plan because he's on an innings limit. So in the minor leagues, he hadn't gone deeper than the 6th inning. He pitched 7 scoreless against the Diamondbacks earlier this season, but he's on an innings limit pretty hard because he hasn't pitched that much in a season. So, but he's been coming out a lot for like these 2-3 inning appearances. So I think he's going to be in a playoffs a 3-2 inning middle relief guy, and he's been allowed to come in and then gotten pulled out as soon as he's gotten into trouble, but he's been allowed to work through a little bit of trouble as well. He is that good. His stuff is good. I'm very excited for what he'll be, long term and next season as a starter. But yeah, I think you're completely right. He's going to be a middle relief bridge guy in playoff games.
All right. Any other thoughts on this series, or should we get into the schedule?
Nope, the game is about to start. Skubal versus Waka. I don't know how that's going to go because Royals tend to hit Skubal, but also we've lost both games where Skubal pitched against the Royals, but one was in extras and one was a 1-0 after Skubal comes out with a no decision after 7. So I don't know how it'll work out. Yeah, that was a fun game to watch.
All right, so we'll start off with the Tigers here. They're finishing up with Kansas City. That game's about to get started. Then they have New York, the Mets, the White Sox, and then the Yankees, Marlins. Oh my goodness, sorry, my cursor's everywhere. The Royals playing the Angels, going to the Twins, and then 4 against the Guardians, then the Phillies. Guardians going to the Red Sox, Tampa Bay, Kansas City, and then finishing out with the White Sox. The Twins, White Sox for 4, which, by the way, the White Sox beat the Twins 2 out of 3 last series, and it wasn't particularly competitive for the Twins, so that's not a given anymore. The Royals, Angels, Diamondbacks, and then the White Sox, 4 for the Twins, 3 with Detroit, Tampa Bay, and then Cleveland. Lee, you had a question for Sam.
Yeah, what is the Pigeon Night?
Are you familiar with the Mo Willems picture books, Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus?
Maybe. I don't.
Yeah,
maybe if I saw a picture of it, but...
So, it's a series of books about the pigeon, and you are not supposed to let the pigeon do various things, i.e., drive the bus. So basically, it is a series of books that teaches kids to say no. So,
all right.
Yeah, they're very cute. There's a whole big long series, but it's a book. It's a book that that was available when I was growing up. So I don't know what the connection to Kansas City or to the Royals.
I said that was going to be my question.
Yeah.
I'm not
As long as Kansas City.
It's like just a celebration of those books, and there's like a little bobblehead giveaway
Cute.
night of the Pigeon. But one thing I do want to mention about the schedule is the Royals are playing the Angels next series. Salvi is 4 home runs away from 300. Mike Trout is 2 home runs away from 400.
Ooh.
So if Salvi maybe gets 1 or 2 today, they might have a little. That would be cool if they both got that in the same.
Well, his stats against Scribble are in Salvi's favor. Hopefully, that's not going to happen, but it could.
All right. So I was not smart enough to
Yeah.
make this tab ahead of time. So everyone,
Yeah.
please forgive me that I'm going to be typing all of these, the team names as we go into it. But the predictions. Here we go. Let's start off with Minnesota at Chicago for 4.
I'm going to say I think Chicago's going to take this one. Honestly, Colson Montgomery has been huge. They've been playing decent.
Sam.
I'll go with the White Sox as well. These are 2 teams who don't have much to play for, and I think that maybe the White Sox have a little bit more to prove down the stretch. So I think they're gonna have one of those years where they randomly have a winning month of September.
Don't hate it, Dan.
Earlier, I said I think I'd rather be in the White Sox position than the Twins. I think this series is going to be a physical manifestation of that. Chicago.
I mean, they just lost 2 out of 3 to Chicago. So, like, I can't. Well, I'm going to go a split
Because
because
it's a 4-game series, so it could
Yes.
be split.
I think I almost put Chicago. Minnesota just has fallen off of a cliff. It's Byron Buxton and a AAA lineup right now, so it sucks. It is what it is. Twins are going to be going into hibernation here in a bit. Then we have Twins. Oh, this will be easy. Twins at Kansas City. Lee.
Yeah, I'm going to take Kansas City.
As you should. Sam.
Give me the Royals. This is crunch time. They gotta get some wins
beat
while
up on
they
the
have
bad
a
teams.
team like the Twins in front of them.
Yeah, Royals have a bit of a tough schedule because they play the Phillies and there's a bunch of. I don't have it up right now, but
Their schedule is. They have an interesting schedule. They have a good mix of some good teams they have to play against, but they do have a lot of bad teams in September. So their schedule is an interesting, and they also have a series against the Mariners in September, who they obviously need to beat. So they have for the purposes of making a push, they do have a favorable schedule.
maybe not tough, but important because they play 4 against the Guardians and then the Phillies. So that series against the Guardians is going to be important.
Dan, you Minnesota at Kansas City.
This is a 3-game series. Is that correct?
3-game series.
Kansas City.
I will be picking Kansas City as well. Next, Chicago at Detroit. Lee.
I'm going to go with Detroit for this one. We're at home, so that's going to be big because our series against Chicago have been tougher than I would prefer, but home field advantage. Oh, what? Yeah.
Maybe. Sam.
I'll go with the Tigers. For no reason other than they are the Tigers playing against the White Sox.
It's a fair pick. Dan.
Detroit.
Well, the Chicago White Sox are going to be coming off of a hot streak against the Minnesota Twins. And also, I know Detroit has things to play about, but they're going to start tinkering with the bullpen. I think that's going to lead to a lost game, and then it just depends on who's lined up. So I'm going Chicago because why not? They have to win another series other than the Twins, right?
Well, they split against us a month or so ago.
Yeah. And then Chicago at Cleveland.
This series doesn't occur until for another week.
Oh,
Are
that's
we
fair.
going in advance? Yeah.
Nope, never mind. Stopping with there. We'll see how that goes.
I want the intel the next week to make a decision on that one. See
Fair
where the
enough.
Guardians are at.
That's all fair. All right, we'll stop sharing screen there. All right. Do we have any closing thoughts?
No.
No? All right. Well, it's been
Go Tigers.
yeah, I was about to say it's
Yeah.
time. I'm going to start cheering for the division because honestly, I've watched more Twins minor league baseball than I have Major League Baseball in the last month. It's
What's
been
the
good. Walker
difference?
Jenkins was called up to AAA. I missed that news. That he hasn't looked good in 2 games, but it's a start. Him and Max Clark are going to be the AL Central's version of Mike Trout and Bryce Harper for a while, I think.
Yeah.
We'll see. But all right, with that, we'll talk to you guys next week.